Hi Stampers, I'm Meg from Loven Stamps, and this project was the game changer for me that made me convert from not really loving the Oh So Succulent stamp set and the Succulent Garden die to, oh my gosh, I have to have that and I want to make things with it. So these little succulent flowers, we'll see how well they come across on the video, are really not hard to make, and the process of making them is fun and they're pretty smooth, and the die cutting is so much easier than I thought. When I first looked at this, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to run through the Big Shot like 15 times to make that flower. Nope, one time for the flower, that's all you need. So let me teach you about this project, and we will grab your Stamps the Mail Club if you're making one at home. If you haven't ordered your Stamps the Mail Club kit yet for March, I still have some left. If it's after March, you might still give me a try in case I still have one for you, but they're while supplies last, so don't wait too long. All right, let's get stamping. So for this project, you're going to need the pieces from your Stamps in the Mail Club. You're going to need 2 of the Stampin' Sponge wedges and the Sugar Plum, Sweet Sugar Plum, and Old Olive inks. And then tucked into here, which you probably can't see, is a clear box. You might look at this the first time and think, oh, what's wrong with it? There's actually to protect it, there's a protective plastic layer. So go ahead and take that off and throw that away. Or try, it's very staticky. And then here we're gonna get ready to assemble our box. I find it easiest to fold all of the scores on the box before I assemble. Okay. So once you have all your pieces folded, then you're gonna assemble the bottom. The short sides here, let's see if we can do this so you can see. The short sides here, they go in first, okay? And then the U-shaped piece goes next, and then the pointy piece goes last. There, and that holds the box together. All right, so on our sample we have this cool piece that goes around to kind of disguise your present, and you can go ahead and score this. You could just fold it in half and then fold the edges in, but I'll go ahead and score it here at 2, 4, and 6 inches. It's 2 inches by 8 inches. There we go. Okay, so we've got it closed, and then the next piece that's going to go on the top of it is this mint macaron layer. And I'm going to put sticky strip on this and then tuck this here right on the top of our box. Now, you are going to use a mixture. So this is like Spanish mossy stuff from the craft store. And then these are the pieces of the die. The cool thing is that they fit just on like a 3-inch piece of cardstock. So it's a tight fit, but it doesn't take a lot of cardstock to make them all. And you can cut them all at once because all of the dies are separate. So that made it super easy. All right. So the other thing, when you're cutting these all together, I really like to use the precision base plate. You can ignore this. Don't cut on this side. I'm actually the one who cut into it. Totally not thinking. Look, you can see all my dragonflies on there. Anyway, the precision base plate, this is the side that you cut on, and it takes the place of the other cutting mat. So what you would do is basically put your cardstock on. Here, you would put a cutting plate on the top. You would put this on a platform, either the regular platform or the magnetic one works fine too, and then you would run everything through and you get a really nice cut. The reason that I like the precision base plate for these is that it's just a lot of metal with a lot of detail to be cutting all at once, and I find that I get just great cutting with a precision base plate. So, all right, let me show you what to do with these. So sponges, I'm going to actually use my Sweet Sugar Plum ink on my Old Olive flowers. So you're going to just dab a little bit there so you got some ink on your sponge, and then you're going to take this and just brush the tips of all your flowers. Okay, so you're going to do that for all 6 of your flowers, and then the next thing you're going to do is take your bone folder and you're going to curl. Okay, so I am going to curl my edges like this. See how those are ending up with a nice curl. When I do this, it's really tempting to want to pull like curling ribbon like this, where you're pulling your thumb and your bone folder, but I find that it's really easy to rip the petals from their narrow attachments that way. So instead what I do is I hold my bone folder in my hand like this with my 4 fingers. I put my thumb on the edge, and then I roll the bone folder across the base of my thumb. See how my thumb actually doesn't ever move away from the cardstock? I'm just rolling the base, here, see it this way? I'm just rolling my bone folder across the base of my thumb, and that gives me that nice pretty curve there. Okay, So now we have the flower tips curved, but on my sample, like you can see, they're like really nicely cupped. So let me show you how that works. And so I have my bone folder. This is the wider end. This is the narrow end. So I'm going to use the wider end. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start in the middle and make little tiny circle motions. And you see how as I do that, my whole flower just cups up just like that. So what I'm doing is I am stretching out the cardstock fibers that are in the center of the flower. And the paper piercing mat is great because it keeps the paper from sliding and it gives you a soft surface to work on. When you're working on the smallest or the larger flowers, you want to start in the center with your little circles and then work a little bit bigger. So I'm going to start right here in the very center and make these little circle motions, and then I'm getting bigger and bigger with them until you are getting out towards the edges. And basically what you're doing is you're stretching the fibers as you go, and they have nowhere to go except down, so they make this fun cupping shape. Okay, see how that works? So we've got that really just cupped all the way down there. Now when you get to the largest one, I actually kind of like to use the back of my bone folder to make that circle shape. So I'm doing my tips here like this. I hope I'm not shaking my camera too much. And the paper sort of naturally rotates as it goes, and then I end up with that kind of shape. Okay, and then I'll show you the last one. And then same thing, start in the middle, make little circles, get a little bit bigger as you go, get a little bit further out here so I have room for it to cup. All right, and then you have that. So you're going to repeat that same step for your little flowers, and then I'll show you how to attach those. I like to use a combination of mini glue dots or Stampin' Dimensionals and mini glue dots for attaching these. So where they fit on the back and where they'll be hidden in the layers, I use a Stampin' Dimensional. And if you don't get the pieces exactly lined up or straight, that's okay. They're, you know, they're nature, right? So I'm gonna get that. Now these are a little bit too small for a Stampin' Dimensional, so I like to use a mini glue dot because the mini glue dots have just a little bit of dimension to them. But there, and you can kind of crunch your flower as you go, is a really fun succulent flower. Okay, so go ahead and repeat here, and then we'll show you how to put it all together. Okay, so we have this strip of Whisper White cardstock here, and this greeting actually says, "Happy birthday to a very special person." But that you'll notice that our tag actually says, "To a very special person." But "to" is on this line, and the rest is there. So let me show you how to do that. This is a great technique with Stampin' Spots because they're easy to see. So I'm going to ink just the bottom part where it says, "A very special person." And I'm going to stamp that here on our banner. So we have a very special person. Now what you want to do is clean this really well. So I'll grab my Stampin' Scrub here. Make sure that's nice and clean so that you don't have, usually I stamp on my scratch paper so they don't have shadows. And then I'm going to ink just the word "to." So let's see. Go this direction and get just "to." And then I'm going to add that here to our greeting. And then if you have a little shadow like I did, I over inked the top part, so I had a little on the wrong line, a little ink on the wrong line, then I'm gonna trim that away. And I put a little arrowy part on the end, so we have our "to a very special person," so that's gonna go together. And then we have all of our pieces to add. So I have a ribbon. You're going to go ahead, make sure you keep track of where the front of your box is. This just gets tied around. This Sweet Sugar Plum is such a great color, and there's two different ribbons right now that you can get in Sweet Sugar Plum. There is the one in the Occasions catalog, which is the one I'm showing you, and then there's also the Ruched ribbon, sorry, which is in the main catalog. So lots of great ways to add the Sweet Sugar Plum color in ribbon form to your projects. And I'm gonna just trim off the ends there so we have that nicely finished. And then I kind of like my bows to be just a little bit on the small format side. See how that works? And then we are going to add to the top. Now, I've already added to the top of my mint macaron. It's already glued on there. So I need some adhesive on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my box up all the way and put this flat so that I can add fast fuse. Let me get a little forward there. To the whole top of my box. Don't worry. Oops. Don't worry about whether you're going to cover it all. Between all the pieces we're going to put on there, it's going to get covered. So. All right, and then I'm going to leave it open kind of so that I can press things down. This is the Spanish moss from the craft store, and there's probably like 10 times here more than you need, but that's good. You use it for something else. I'm just going to grab, I don't know, just about that much and sort of stick it on there. This is not an exact science, people. You just kind of stick it on, all right, because we want some to stick out the edges, and we want it to be sort of mossy looking. All right, so that looks like enough maybe. You can always stick more in there later. The banner the little succulent here, I'm going to attach with a Stampin' Dimensional. And I get that peeled, yep. It's gonna go kind of towards the back corner. And since I have my box open, I can press that all down. This little guy here is gonna get a Stampin' Dimensional too. And I'm gonna tuck him in just sort of in front. All right, so we have our 2 pieces there. And then those little curly cues, these are really fun to do too. So all you're gonna do is take these little thin strips of little thin strips of cardstock, give it like 1 or 2 little twirls with your bone folder to get it started. And then you want to go ahead and wrap it around a pen of some kind so that you get that nice shape. If you keep going with a bone folder, the paper will separate, and that might not be quite, it looks cool too, but that might not be the effect you're looking for if you want to copy what I did here. So then this piece can just get pressed down into the adhesive that's already on your box top. Okay, and then for our little greeting, I'm going to put another, we'll probably use a half dimensional. Then I'm going to tuck that there on the front of our flower. So there we have a sweet little succulent box. I'm using the stamp set and the dies, all kinds of fun pieces as part of Stamps the Mail Club this month. So I hope that if you haven't ordered your Stamps the Mail Club kit already, you will go ahead and do that. I'm really loving this set and all of the fun possibilities to do with it. So thank you so much for watching. Have fun making your own succulent flowers, and I look forward to stamping with you by mail and sharing more projects. Happy stamping!